Well, here we go. Episode 41 of the What Do We Do podcast. Kyle Bogey, Dewey Stephan, live here inside the wonderful confines of Great Lakes Wealth. And Dewey coming off of yet another tremendous guest episode. Lauren James couldn't have been any better. Some really insightful stuff. So just again, to revisit that, if you haven't had a chance to listen, download, watch potentially on YouTube, certainly go back and take a peek at that because a really, really good conversation.
Kyle, good to see you. Sully, great to see you. Podcast listeners and YouTube viewers, great to hear you, see you, and talk about Lauren James for a quick minute. Absolutely. LJ was the star of the show. This guy is such an amazing human being. And as the ambassador for his family company, if you will, the guy just has so much to say, so much to share, and we were blessed to have him in our presence. And so, yes, please go listen or watch episode 40 of the What Do We Do podcast. And at the end, Lauren does a What Lauren Do. So check that out.
So obviously, again, just thank you to everyone who's downloading. Thank you to everyone who's watching. And if you want more information on anything wealth management related, finance related, you can certainly go to greatlakeswealth.us and get as much information as humanly possible. So we go from guest episode to a little bit of a pivot here, but something that is over, really 2021, 2020, of course, has been incredibly relevant. And I personally have a lot of questions on it, and I'm sure there are a ton of people out there that have questions on what the heck is going on as it pertains to Wall Street and the stock market. And I never thought that we would be, searching the hallways of Reddit to find out just what the heck is going on and how things have kind of changed over the last year. But we have seen literally a group of people on Reddit, called Wall Street Bets, not change, but severely alter, and I would say sound the alarm of some people within the stock market with what they've been able to do and finding out what companies are really shorting stocks, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if that's the right way of saying it, and how to take advantage of those, drive up the stock price, and then potentially cash in themselves. So a lot to unpack there and a lot to get into, but I guess first things first, when did you first hear of this? What was your first take on it? And what was your overall understanding of just what was going on with Reddit, with Wall Street Bets, and kind of how social media ended up having just a massive effect on the stock market?
Kyle, it is unbelievable the things that have transpired this year, right? But if you go back even to, again, March of last year when COVID was announced to have, the impact that it certainly had with the flash crash of the markets, as well as just immediately everyone is staying at home, working from home, et cetera, right? It created this situation, absolutely, but it's not something that we haven't seen before or heard of, before. It's just taken on a life of its own, or it's just, different this time, as they say, but investing has always been about the news. He or she who has the news has the advantage, right? And that could be about a house going up for sale in the market. If you can get, get information on that before it happens, you can have a private showing before it's even listed on the MLS system. Have you heard of this?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh yeah. That's what you have to do right now.
If you know that there's going to be a pop-up restaurant somewhere and some chef is going to be doing a little farm to table, if you can hear about it ahead of time, you can kind of weasel your way in and get yourself, at that party, right? So this is the same exact situation where it's news flow, but the way that the news flow is coming out, it's not even potentially, correct news. It could be artificially created news. It could be, have you heard of this word before? Fake news, right? So whatever it is, it's here, and we have to understand it and deal with it from the investing perspective. So I'm happy to help our listeners and our viewers, dive into it a little bit. I'm certainly no expert on any of this stuff, and we will start the show by saying consult your financial professional, understand your specific situation. But as it relates to all things news and investing in 2021, let's get into it.
So I guess the obvious question is just what the hell happened? You say finding out information can be beneficial if no one else, has that information. Clearly, some people found out things that were going to be beneficial to them financially, and they decided to share it with all of these different users on Reddit, and it became this phenomenon. And we saw AMC shoot up. We saw GameStop shoot up. Various others. I think Nextel was another one of those random, stocks that people just started buying and buying and buying because of information that was found on Reddit.
That's correct. So for everyone listening and everyone watching, let's take a step back and walk through the information. Okay, what is Reddit? So in case anyone's listening that does not know what Reddit is a news source on the internet, right, or an app on your phone. And so in addition to Twitter and tweets, right, Reddit is a source where people within the community can post a story. There also is downloaded stories from, traditional news sources. So for those listening, let's just start with Reddit as a news source that is found on the internet. It's a community. Fair enough? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then after that is what they call a subreddit. So it might be like, I don't know, what do they call it? Section 2 of the paper or Section 3, where it's the home and garden section or the finance section. So there's a subreddit, which is a category of news within Reddit, and that is called Wall Street Bets. There are many others, but the one that we're going to talk about today is Wall Street Bets, which is a subreddit. So if you're following along, listeners and viewers, it's a sub-news category within the Reddit family. Kyle, you got that?
Of course.
Okay. So what happened is Wall Street Bets is a community, a chat room of sorts where they're disseminating information and sharing, right? And so whether, again, it's a sale at Macy's for some shirts, if you post it there, they'll be sold out, right? In this case, there was some news flow about a company called GameStop and how the Wall Street community was shorting the stock and was creating a situation where hedge funds and the Wall Street community were making massive bets on the bankruptcy of GameStop. Shorting a stock means betting on it going lower and profiting from that situation. And so the Wall Street Bets community put out some information saying, hey, if we all together buy some GameStop, we can do this thing, which is called a what? A short squeeze.
That's what it was, yeah.
Right? We can do a short squeeze on GameStop, which means we can make the stock spike up because those shorts have to cover because the way that works, and it will become like a snowball effect. It will feed on itself, and we will all become filthy, stinking rich, and those Wall Street tycoons, they're not going to be very happy, and they're going to lose their shirts. And that is actually what happened.
So outside looking in, and again, I'm watching the news, I'm reading about this, I'm seeing, things that are posted on social media about it, and it struck me at least that Wall Street was upset, and some of these big tycoons, is the word that you kind of referenced to them as, but it seemed like all these tycoons were mad because their game kind of got figured out. And the little guy was able to take advantage of that and make some real money. Meanwhile, the big guys lost hundreds of millions, perhaps billions of dollars, involved in this. So I guess, is that to a certain degree kind of what happened? The little guy won for the first time in a long time?
Yes, perhaps, right? And I think it was, again, because, yes, the way that the information was disseminated and then passed around, again, it was a herd mentality. And again, anybody is going to feel a little, what's the word? I don't know, shaken up, I guess, or, I don't know, defensive when they are on, being manipulated, if that's the right way to put it. And so in this case, yes, the Wall Street investors, the professional investors, their analysis didn't put into account that this could happen. They just looked at the declining revenues, the increased costs, etc. of GameStop. And so again, there are always exceptions to every rule, right? And in this case, the Wall Street Bets community was able to figure out a way to make an investment profitable, and it didn't have anything to do with the investment opportunity of GameStop from its revenue growth
it's
or
dead.
its footprint, right?
It's a bad
but
company
you can
at this point,
manipulate the investments, and so I don't have any issue with it. I certainly understand it. The rules of shorting a stock and the rules of having to buy it back and playing the investment game through this and through Robinhood and some other companies that allow investors to transact, right? The next step of it was then they froze it. You couldn't buy anymore. You couldn't sell anymore. You couldn't do anything. You didn't know what to do. You're stuck. And so it was certainly GameStop in the beginning, and that's still being actively traded. Now, at this point, the professional investors have been able to unwind any of those positions that were, at extreme loss early on. But then it happened with AMC, and that's still being traded. Other ones included the actual silver. They tried to make a move on the silver market. Rocket Mortgage, company locally here in dear to our hearts. Same thing. It was heavily shorted. It was through some of the filings, and then they popped that stock up from 24 one day to over 40 in a day. These Wall Street bets, Robinhood collusioners, go get them. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Heck yeah. Transparency and making it efficient is what it should always be
for
about.
everyone.
Absolutely, right. And in the Wall Street game, it's never been that way, but these types of situations hopefully create the opportunity for it to become more of an even playing field.
One of the interesting things was, as you were following the story and seeing everything that kind of came with it, I think one of the mistakes that a lot of people made, if you did jump on board and you followed this Reddit thread or subreddit, whatever you want to call it, and you bought a ton of GameStop stock and it shot up, there were a lot of people who I think thought, oh, okay, I mean, I've made tens of thousands of dollars. I've made, one person made over $1 million. There's tons of people who made a ton of money on it, but you had to make sure that if you were going to make that money, instead of taking it out, everyone had to hold the line. Everyone had to hold on to that stock. Otherwise, people start selling off and it was going to shoot back down. And so you had some of the people who were kind of spearheading this movement sell their shares, which I get. I mean, you're going to make $1 million, $500,000, even $50,000. If that's a lot to you, you're probably just going to sell and say, hey, good day at work, nice day at the office. And I think a lot of people got screwed by that because all these shares got sold off and then the stock, boom, went way back down. And if you put a lot of money into it, clearly you could have been exposed to losing a lot of money as well.
And that's the same when you go to the casino and put it on red or black if you're playing roulette, right? Or if you're at the craps table and you're putting it on pass and don't pass, all these things, that's called gambling. And that's exactly what was going on with this. Okay, the hedge fund community on any of these stocks, when they're getting together and putting on massive short positions, they also put on massive long positions. They buy stocks, whether that's Tesla or Amazon or Ford Motor or GameStop or whatever. If you're buying a company through a stock or selling a company through a short sale of a stock, you're doing it based upon the fundamentals and the future opportunity based on the analysis that you've done, right? But all of this, whether it's hold the line on GameStop or, hey, I'm going to get this next hot one and flip it on my Robinhood account, that's straight gambling, because I think the people that are investing, which it's not, it's gambling, those people buying are novices that don't even know what the heck they're getting into. We're going to go into talking about these meme coins, same type of thing, right? We'll get there in a minute. But all this has to do with COVID and the fact that you couldn't do any entertainment that you were used to, whether it is go to the casino. We've talked in the past, Kyle, about gaming and gambling, and now that's a huge thing, or the betting sites that you can do on your phone, and that's just getting started. So all of that to say is that this is an important part of money management, if you will. I'm not going to call it investing, but part of an investment portfolio. You can have speculative investments for sure. You can have alternatives. You can have high risk.
Hey guys, it's Bogey. I want to take a second to talk to you about Dewey Steffen and his excellent team at Great Lakes Wealth. Look, do you feel overwhelmed with managing your assets in today's financial world? I mean, think about the times we're in. Do you want financial freedom instead? Great Lakes Wealth offers Wall Street solutions with Main Street values. They sit down with you to develop custom financial solutions utilizing all of your assets, even your 401k. They build the future you want based on your goals and your dreams. That's what Great Lakes Wealth is all about. Thinking about you, thinking about your family, and thinking about your future. Simply go to greatlakeswealth.us to schedule an appointment today. They offer better investments and better service than anyone out there. Your road to financial freedom starts at greatlakeswealth.us. Please visit greatlakeswealth.us or simply give Great Lakes Wealth a call today.
Make it or break it, all or nothing, go for it. But you better know what the heck it is, and you shouldn't, to your point, putting all your net worth or a big sum of money figuring it's just going to work out. And then a fool and his or her money are soon parted.
Yeah, I mean, as entertaining as it was outside looking in following the story, I certainly would have been terrified if I actually had gotten involved and put a significant amount of money, into one of those and hope that it shot up and hope that it stayed there, and hope that I could be able to sell that and in turn make a massive profit. But it's just, it is fascinating to see, when I would say, the little guy winning to a certain degree and somehow just changing and I think throwing off the entire stock market, throwing off Wall Street to where they were like, this isn't how it's going to be moving forward.
So, again, don't poke the bear. Right, so if you poke the bear, maybe the little guy won that round. But again, there, I'm sure, were hundreds of millions of dollars of loss in aggregate by these hedge funds. I'm sure, but in a $1 trillion space, this was nothing more than just an investment that didn't work out for them. They're able to, clean their books and go on to their next investment. Where the little guy, there are those ones that turn $5,000 into $500,000. I'm sure, but there are just as many that took $5,000 down to $0,000, right? Or very close to that. This is reminiscent of 1999 and 2000. I don't want to date myself of being in the business, but back then there was this thing called the Yahoo chat room. And the Yahoo chat room, you would go and you would just talk about penny stocks, and you could trade after hours. And it was basically the prior version of this, right? Those companies didn't have revenues, didn't have earnings, but they were, again, you were just talking them up, just chatting them up. And so you'd invest the next day, trusting the people that are typing on the other end. You don't know who they are, but hey, it sounded good. And then, again, discipline and investing is different than trading and speculating, right? So you just have to know the difference. And we ask everyone to please consult a professional, get some help. Don't put in more than you're willing or able to lose. We call that sizing. And we hope everyone has a successful investment experience. But if you're putting all your money in this stuff, best of luck.
So another, interesting area that has taken off has become, this. I don't want to say fantasy because it's kind of become a little bit real as we're starting to see it rise and have this meteoric kind of vault into the atmosphere. But cryptocurrency clearly is becoming bigger and bigger, and we've kind of taken a very deep dive on Bitcoin and everything that's transpired with that, and obviously Elon Musk and several other prominent people have invested in Bitcoin and, are certainly banking on it becoming something. And we saw it, I believe, soar past $65,000 a coin, because the coins are very rare. So I guess this new thing, if you will, has become the Dogecoin. And there is, I think, millions upon millions of Dogecoin out there, if I'm not mistaken. Like, the limit does not exist, as opposed to Bitcoin, which is much more prestigious, and there just aren't that many out there. But I guess with Dogecoin, what is it? What is happening? Because it seems like this is literally something built out of social media, and it is starting to gain steam, and Elon Musk is pumping it out there, and Mark Cuban's pumping it out there, and you're starting to slowly see it become this legitimate thing where it's hitting record highs, got, obviously over 50 cents, 60 cents, but what is it, I guess?
So first of all, is it Dogecoin or is it Dogcoin?
I think it's Doge.
I mean, what are we talking about here? What kind of coins are these?
You know what it is? Ching ching.
Ching
That's
ching.
all I
it's
hear.
It's a coin. That's right. Well, with the price today, this is recorded for a few weeks out, but it went over 50 cents a coin, right? So you got one Doge equals 50 cents. Have you heard of this guy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to call it.
I've been
I'm
watching
going to
it
call
closely.
it 50 cent, and then sooner or later it'll be a buck. You know, it'll be a George Washington. I mean, I don't know what's going on here. So all of that to say is Dogecoin. Yes, it is called Dogecoin. This is what's known as a meme coin. So for everyone out there listening, everyone out there viewing, a meme coin just means that it has to do with just a relevant topic or something that's cartoonish. Okay, and so Dogecoin was started as a joke back in 2013 by a couple guys that worked at some, Silicon Valley technology companies, and it was to make fun of, if you will, the rise of Bitcoin, right, and cryptocurrencies. And so with that, a plug to episode 20, where we did an intro to blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and specifically Bitcoin. So for everyone listening, everyone viewing, please go check out episode 20 for the basic introduction to this stuff called digital assets, right? Just on a joke about a reference to Bitcoin, right? And they're featured a Shiba Inu dog. Looks like kind of like a husky or something.
I
right?
love that meme.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was, again, just to have a little bit of fun with this new world. Well, it's caught, lightning in a bottle to where it is absolutely relevant. The market cap is, I think, $74 billion now. That's more than like a Honda Motor Company or something like that.
Now, what is that? You said market cap. Okay, it's not. That doesn't mean that they're doing $74 billion in revenue or something like that. But what would that mean to somebody who's asking? Okay, $74 billion. How does it have a bigger market cap than Ford, than some of these other massive companies?
Yeah, well, it doesn't have a bigger market cap than Ford, but it is over a $70 billion market cap. And so what a market cap is if you use a market capitalization as the long answer. And so what that means is any investment out there that has shares, you just take the number of shares times the price, and that's the market capitalization, meaning the market price of that company if it were to be liquidated today, right? So with all the Doge coins out there, times it by 50 cent, my man, 50. Mm-hmm. You times it by 50 cent and you get over $70 billion. So if you sold it all, I don't know who would buy it. And so the price would collapse, like the hedge funds would be doing their little sneaky stuff again. But that's where you get the market cap of Amazon, first one to be over $1 trillion. So that's the technical terminology. And so from something that is literally worth zero, there are no revenues, as you said, there is no scarcity. So the intrinsic value, if you will, of the Doge coin, and there are, as we talked about before the show, other meme coins. These things are just created as a way for people to, pass paper money or digital currency that doesn't really have anything backing it up. We will talk about Bitcoin does have some scarcity because of how the coins are mined. Ethereum is the one that's being talked about now besides Dogecoin because of its ability to work the best on the blockchain, if you will. So we could talk about some of those things, but at the end of the day, Dogecoin is absolutely relevant, and it might not be worth anything due to its zero revenue model, but it absolutely is worth something as an investment if you know what you're doing.
Well, it's just fascinating to me. You see Mark Cuban and the Dallas Mavericks, are now accepting Dogecoin, I think, in their merchandise shop, if I'm not mistaken. You saw the Oakland Athletics are selling tickets to their games, and you can use Dogecoin. They're valued at, 100 coins or whatever it, might end up being to just purchase tickets, to go to a game. So clearly there are some legitimate organizations that are starting to take it a little bit more seriously, but is this something that can ride alongside in in the rearview mirror of a Bitcoin, for an extended period of time? Do we even know what this can potentially be, or is it literally just we're all going to kind of find out on the fly, because it just seems like there's so much unknown when it comes to what it is, how we'll be able to use it, and how long it could potentially be around?
So that is the answer. We are going to have to wait and just see what happens, right? There are investors out there, Mark Cuban being one of them, that will tell you why he believes it's here to stay, and I'll share that with our listeners and our viewers. But there are many others that are saying, again, it's not if, it's just when it'll come collapsing down. And just like that GameStop situation where people that were in there just woke up one day, deer in the headlights, what is going on? Where's all my money? It very well may be the same thing. But as we've learned through Bitcoin and its short evolution, I mean, it's 10 years old now, but it's still very short, right? It was just 20,000 a coin last fall, and here it is, like you said, went over 65,000. It's back down to the low 50s as of us having this podcast. But it doesn't mean that something has no value if the community wants to put a value on it. And the more that people chase the Dogecoin, invest in the Dogecoin, they're going to prop it up. They're going to inflate it, and it can continue. We can talk about all the reasons why, but absolutely speculative, and it's not, from our perspective, a very solid investment. It might be a very risky opportunity. Depends on what you're looking at.
So you said Mark Cuban had some reasons why he has invested and he has put some time into this. Again, I said the Dallas Mavericks are accepting Dogecoin for some purchases within the organization. The reasoning, I guess, because he's a pretty sharp guy. He's had a modicum of success in becoming a billionaire over the years. So I guess what was the reasoning for him as to why he believes in this? And why he's going to stick with it here moving forward.
Yeah, so I can't tell if he's going to stick with it moving forward, but his rationale is that Bitcoin is now 50,000 a coin or whatever it is, so not everybody can get to it.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you are listening and paying attention out there in podcast world or YouTube world, you can go and get fractional shares. So you don't have to buy just one Bitcoin if you want. You can buy 1/10 of a Bitcoin, et cetera, et cetera. But with all that, Mark Cuban says that maybe as an alternative to something that's worth 60,000, you go to the next thing. And so if this at 50 cents is more like $1, if you will, or transactions that we would normally be used to, what the heck? Might as well just start playing with it. People who are investing in Bitcoin or trading in Bitcoin, they're probably just doing the same thing, right? They're just looking to get in and get out, whether it's short-term, medium-term, or long-term. I don't know who's holding Bitcoin for long periods of time, but if you did, obviously you would have turned $1,000 into tens of millions of dollars. People might be betting on this with the Dogecoin as well. But he believes it's an alternative to taking advantage of the cryptocurrency world with the Bitcoin. And also, just because if the community determines that something is relevant, that makes it relevant. Right?
Yeah.
I forget the old cliche, maybe we'll come to in a minute, where, it just, it starts as nothing and just becomes something. You will it into existence, something like that. So he believes that, again, the community can just, en masse, have this become relevant. It doesn't have to be backed by any financial institution, any government entity. You can start passing around Dogecoins. Again, I'm going to tell you a few of the other meme coins here, and we're going to start the brand 25 coin and what do we do coin. I don't want to have my face on there though. Whoa, that would be crazy. But anyway, I don't know. Does that make some sense?
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, look, you only hear about Bitcoin and Dogecoin. Clearly, there's a few others. I guess if you want to just highlight those real quick. What are they? Why aren't they taking off like a Dogecoin, or are they taking off? I mean, I don't hear about them.
Yeah, so some are. So we'll talk about those in a second, but let's get back to the traditional cryptocurrencies real fast. Again, Bitcoin is the grand master of them all at this point, but Ethereum has been the one that people have been really talking about lately. There's certainly Litecoin. There's certainly hundreds of others, but I think again people are now trying to get the next thing, right? We want to find the next digital asset, the next digital coin, if you will. So in the meme world, you have Dogecoin. You have the second by market cap is 168 million. So this is one, and you're not even going to know what this one is. It's called Monacoin. Okay, so that's got a $168 million market cap, and it's something called Monacoin. Okay, you have one that I love. This is called Garlic Coin. Okay, it's got a $7 million market cap. And you have one called Pepimon Pepe Balls. It's got a $3.5 million market cap, right? So these are just, again, a few of the meme coins, and that just means that they're made up. They're not backed by anything. There is not a, just any type of fundamental or rational basis other than the community has, deemed them relevant and the next hot thing to get in on. So, again, I'll say it for everyone listening and watching. Do your homework. Know what you're getting in. I have certainly talked to dozens of people that have shared with me, I bought the Dogecoin. I'm in the Dogecoin. I'm out of the Dogecoin. I don't know what to do with the Dogecoin. I'm like, what are you doing? Why? What's your plan?
Sit on it.
I had it on my phone. I'm on Robinhood. I'm on Coinbase. And I just had to do something this afternoon. Again, it makes no sense to me. I understand investing in these. And again, talk to your financial advisor. We do think that maybe 1%, 2%, 3% of a portfolio can be in a digital asset strategy. We actually have a digital asset portfolio here at Great Lakes Wealth. Feel free to give us a call. We could share that with you, or check us out at greatlakeswealth.us, and you can find it under the portfolio models tab. But with that, 50 Cent, Dogecoin, let's go.
I guess anything else that you would like to add in here? I mean, clearly there's a lot of uncertainty. Even to this day, I don't, and we've just talked about it for a half hour. I don't know that I could explain what it is, what it's going to be, how it even works. But clearly there's buzz. Clearly there's people that are backing it and pushing it out there and building it up. I guess who knows what it is moving forward. But I guess if you had to kind of wrap a bow on it, as we're recording this, I guess what do you believe the future is here in the next few years?
I believe that you better know what you own, why you own, and what the risks are. And every penny that you have in any of these investments, you better be ready to lose, right? The cliche of when you go to the casino, it's fun and you never take more there to gamble with that you can afford to lose. Mm-hmm. That better be the way that you're approaching this. Yes, back to Bitcoin, there are analysts out there that say from 50,000 a coin, it could go to 100,000 a coin. Yes, there are some at Dogecoin research.com, which I just made up, that is going to go from 50 cents to $1. I'm going to call it from the 50 to the George. But all that to say that if it doesn't have any true value, if it's truly worthless, then you're just riding a wave and playing a game. And the last one with the hot potato is the one who's going to get burned. So that's how I'd wrap my bow. Just be very careful. Have some fun. Hopefully you can make some money. Understand why you're in. And then also you have to have a sell discipline as well as that buy, discipline or hunch, whatever it is. And that's my answer for today.
All right. Well, obviously, we'll all be kind of monitoring and reading and asking questions here, I guess, over the next several years to see what transpires in the cryptocurrency world. But again, if you want to find out more information, certainly you can call Dewey and his team here at Great Lakes Wealth, or obviously just visit the website, greatlakeswealth.us. But we'll be riding that wave and seeing what happens here moving forward. Again, another great episode of the What Do You Do podcast, episode 41.
Episode 41, and we're just getting started.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or any specific security. It's only intended to provide education about the financial industry. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Any indices referenced for comparison are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. As always, please remember investing involves risks and possible loss of principal capital. Please seek advice from a licensed professional.